Good morning.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Oh, much better.
That's great to hear. Yes,
Much.
there's nothing worse for recording than bronchitis, so I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah, you would not have wanted to listen to me cough for however long we tried to go, because that's what all it would have been.
Certainly a
Um,
challenge to editing. Mute, mute,
yes, it would have
clip,
been.
mute, clip. Yeah,
Yeah, you probably just would said you on mute. Just type all your comments into the comments section and just go with that. Because
yeah. Well, I'm glad it's passed.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, glad to be back. Gosh,
Yes. Well, today's a very special day. Today, as of this recording, represents 10 years. 10 years ago,
oh wow,
I first uploaded those videos when I got that
congrats.
wild hair to just say, I'm going to make a video about how to do these tutorials for great campaigns. So, whenever you're watching this now, yes, 10 years prior to this recording, that's when I did that. So, the channel has only been around for a few years because that's when I got really ambitious. But up to that point, there were those 5 videos that kind of I hope have helped
Still,
some people. Yeah, I mean
still the gold standard. Everybody points to and says, "Go watch those to get
they're
started."
still getting the clicks. So thank you everybody for that. But yeah, I thought that was neat because I knew it was coming up, and I went, "Oh wow, gosh, where has 10 years gone?" So here we are, right?
Mm-hmm. No,
Take take a
I
sip.
typed coffee, but I'm actually drinking tea with honey,
Ah,
lemon tea with honey. That still
that's
helps.
fine. That's fine. I mean, it's not whiskey and cigars as Grant would do, but
No,
you're doing just fine without it, apparently.
um,
Let us.
I'm glad I do sound okay.
Oh
And my
yeah,
wife
yeah.
said
You
yesterday was
sound
the
great.
first day I sounded halfway decent in a long time.
No, you sound good. Well, hello everybody out there. Let's do our official intro. This is the third session of our rematch of Scenario 2. Grant takes command. Grant crosses the Rapidan. And our usual disclaimer, if you've not watched the first couple episodes of this one, or even the first playthrough, stop here, go back and watch those. If you have, then you're along for the ride. We're going to do a quick recap. I found one, well, I was notified of one error, and I have made a correction in my save file, so now that Roger has synchronized to me, he is seeing it as well. The situation so far, we are now on day 4 of 5, or turn 4 of 5, May 7th, 1864. And things are not looking too good for me here. I'm pulling up the victory points right now. The Union needs 18 points. And as it stands, with this new correction that I've got, I have 9 manpower losses multiplied by 3. That's 27 points. Roger has 6 manpower losses multiplied by 2. That is 12. So 12 taken away from 27 is 15. So you are 3 points away from the magic number of 18 that you need. And that really only takes a single wagon, perhaps wagon A here, getting to Chancellorsville. You could get there and sit pretty. So the situation for me is looking bleak, perhaps dire. Maybe it's one of those situations where he's dead, he just don't know it yet, kind of thing. But now I have to.
So what was the correction? I'm
Oh
sorry.
yes, so let's talk about that correction. Someone pointed out to me, and I have a bad habit of this, where I immediately get so flustered after a combat that goes poorly that I put the manpower loss up onto the victory track, but I don't necessarily, and I do all the other things. I add the fatigue, I do the demoralized, and what do I forget? I forget to take the manpower off the person. So E. Johnson, in that first attack against the wagon that occurred here, when he was blunted, he took a manpower loss, and I put all the correct information on the victory point track. Yeah, he was already flipped to disorganized, but I did not take the 1 manpower loss off of him,
Oh,
and that
okay.
would have brought him from a 9-6 down to I think an 8-5. And when you attacked with Burnside and Potter, they had 11, so that would have given you a 2-to-1 ratio, which would have given you another +1, and
Oh, okay.
that result would have caused me to lose 2 DR instead of 1 DR. So then, as I got flushed out of here, it was 2 DR off the top, and then one more from here. So now E. Johnson, at this point, the accounting is correct. He is down 4 total from his original start point of 9 manpower, because he lost 1 off the first and then 3 more off the
Okay.
subsequent. So that is where he is, still demoralized, still a sitting duck. But the victory point track was correct except for adding the 1 more for the 2DR. So that's why I have 9 versus your
Okay.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, my spreadsheet was okay. So I was checking. I was like, wait a
And
minute. I
as
was like,
always,
okay, got it.
thank you so much to those of you keen observers out there that pointed that out in the comments section. And it's wonderful because sometimes I manage to catch that in editing and sometimes I don't. So if you see a little pop-up note there, that means I caught it. And if I didn't, do feel free to point that out. There's no harm. I don't mind losing more points. That was okay. So thank you again to everybody who watches closely enough to catch those things. Thank you. That was the only correction that I was aware of from our last session.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was significant enough. I mean, that's 3 more points for you, and that.
Yeah, yeah, that is pretty significant. Yeah, plus getting him down to 3 manpower now. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I've kind of given you my overall look for this session. I think 4 and 5 potentially could go very quickly because it is now cascading. I either have to staunch the bleeding somehow in my quasi horrific field hospitals out here, where it's just like amputate. I either have to do that, and that means I have to pivot perhaps and go on the offensive a little bit. But even that is a really tricky affair because how do you go on the offensive without incurring more losses at the same time? Especially the way I've got these units scattered east and west. So that's what I'm thinking so far. How do you feel about all this?
Well, that significantly changed. Well, yeah, that really. I feel pretty good actually now. Yeah, I just have to get one wagon to Chancellorsville. Now it's a question of can I not screw up? I guess right. Um,
I will invite you to do so, but I know you well enough to not do that.
well, this goes into now. It's like I'm sure there's people going, well, now go for the throat, go for the big win. We always do play marginal. I always play for the marginal win. I don't play for the big win, but we'll see.
Yeah, you're right. You and I just kind of go for it. Just get us up over the line, and it's a modest play style. But if you were in a tournament and the difference between a substantive and a decisive meant you advancing to the next round, oh yeah, you would just be pressing that
Yeah,
all the time. But in
or in the Mason Dixon Cup, which for those who aren't aware, it's a competition that Ken Lee organizes on a annual basis or like twice a year
yeah,
basis.
yeah, yeah.
Is where you get points for the greater victory, and I kind of in one when I kind of let my opponent concede with a marginal. I had a marginal and realized I let my team down because I should have played it out and gone for a bigger win, which I could have gotten. So that's another scenario where you do want to say, okay, I want to press because you got a team to support, and I didn't. Thankfully, our team won anyway.
I can't help but wonder if that scale of the victory point track is meant for those folks, unlike you and I, that actually played all the way through 5 with all of the misfortunes that occur to one person after all of those turns. And then at that point, you assess and go, wow, look at the hole that I'm in. Yes, that is a union decisive or whatever. Whereas,
Yeah,
you could look at the writing on the wall, you and I, and go, okay, it's turn 4. This is 3 bad activations away or 1 bad battle away from, okay, yeah, it's yours. Have it.
yep,
Yeah. And to me, I mean, that's just my play style. It's like I would rather move on to the next fun thing. Not that it's not fun. It's just that you can see that it's just not going to get any better. So I don't see any dishonor in saying, "Hey, Roger, you've played a fantastic game. It's just not going to happen for me. So let's let's do that." That's just the way I was
yeah.
always raised with the mercy rule. Please, no more, uncle.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of the way I was raised as well, and also I'm doing this, for fun.
Let's see. I think we've tippy tapped. Let's go through the normal stuff. We have our union leader transfers for this. There are no reinforcements, so we don't have to sweat that out anymore. The Ninth
Okay,
Corps has arrived.
you see, I'm going to transfer Burnside to provisional because provisional doesn't have any leadership. Not that Burnside's going to really help, but at least it's better than nothing. Yeah, Sheridan. to the 22nd New York, 2nd Ohio. I guess that's it for me. I'll leave everybody. Yeah, Warren will stay where he is. That's it for me.
All right. Well, let's see what we got down here. I think I'll move AP Hill and Lee over to Anderson. Yule seems like his sole job this whole game is just to check Warren. It would seem. I don't know that you and I are going to potentially break off that line, but maybe. I'm going to bring Longstreet down to Kershaw because he's a little fresher. And I'll keep Stewart up there with. Let's see, what do they got? They're dug in. Actually, I'm going to move Stewart down to W.H. Lee and his crew. Give me some options there. And I believe that's all for me.
Okay.
So I will do the first initiative here and wish you good luck as always.
Well, good luck to
Thank
you.
you, sir. And here we go. Union left, Confederate right. And there's a 1-6. Never when I need it. Never, ever when I need it. Admittedly, I don't know that I've looked at this in a couple of days here, so I think while I can, and some of you out there are going to be like, this is silly, you're hastening the end, but I think there's a method to this madness. I'm going to attempt an assault on Grant here. We'll have Lee and Grant face off for the first time in the wilderness there, and my thought process is that I'm going to make up for some of the manpower deficiency because I've got Lee, so I'll get that bonus. And you've got all of that artillery in the woods, and right now it's blunted, so I don't need to worry so much about that. So I'm going to take advantage of something here. So let's activate Anderson. He goes fatigue level 1. Here's the assault attempt. And it's going to be a great day.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how the game designer said, sometimes you want a 1, sometimes you want a 6. Sometimes you don't want a 6, sometimes you don't want a 1. This is one of those kind of games. You really didn't want a 6.
Roger, man, why does it always have to start this way? All right, let's see if we can get the next initiative. No, in fact, we can't. Over to you, sir.
Well, that's given you've told me what you're up to. Hancock is going to activate Barlow and artillery reserve, and they're just going to entrench. Give them a 9. Which will take them over 30. Which means you'll lose another on ratio. Initiative. Yours.
Let us recalculate. Calculating. All right, we will just go ahead and tip more of our hand here. I'm going to have Stewart activate both of W.H. Lee's units. They're going to get a +3 to this roll. Grr. Okay, so 7 it is. W.H. Lee and this unit will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Stewart will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Initiative. Mine again. He will activate both of them again. And they will go a ton now. So they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And 1, 2 to there. Alright. Initiative. It's yours.
Sheridan will activate Devon, Custer, 3 New Jersey, 13 Pennsylvania, and 22nd New York and 2nd Ohio. Here's their movement, 2 dice plus 2. They can go 13 hexes, which is nice. Sheridan will transfer to Devon. And they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, what I see as a flank is I have 5 hexes covered because this is not covered 2806 because I don't have a Zoc into it from this hex.
Correct.
So there's only 5 hexes covered. These 2 hexes will stay covered because I have roads into them.
Correct.
But this hex here is not covered because there's no ford there.
So +1, right?
So it'll be a +1 flank. So I'm not going to attack, and I can only attack with the first guy moving. You're only a 3 now, so that means I can cover the hexes with a 1. So let's do this. 22nd New York. 1, 2. No, 1, 2, 3. Left the Zoc. To go into a woods hex is what? 8.
Oh, a 6.
6. So he's got enough to get to here. Guy will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go 1, 2 to there. He'll go 1 to there. Torbert Custer will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 to there. Initiative? Yours.
Huge exhalation of relief over here. Yeah, well, let's see if we can break out of this. E. Johnson will go to fatigue level 2. Here is his movement, +1. His movement. Here is his extended march. He's okay. If I make an attack with a 1 demoralize, I attack at a half. So it would be a 1.5 manpower. Well, before I declare anything, you have the right to cav retreat.
Cav retreat.
Any and all.
Any
and all, right.
No, we'll stand. We got to fight this out, I think.
Okay.
Hope to get a D result at least out of you.
Well, I'm sure that's a good possibility. So we will... I think I better do this one just so I'm not still trapped in the woods. Yes, we will make a prepared attack on the 3rd New Jersey. And the numbers will be +1 for prepared, +3 more for tactical, and -2 for the ford. So I see a +2. Is that what you see?
Yes.
Okay. There's no artillery because you're in the woods.
Yep.
All right. So here is a +2 attack. I will have 3 left over if I'm successful. So here we go. So it is a 5. That's 5. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. I am allergic to success, George Bailey. All right, so that's a 3. It's a 0, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be another 1D. And
yeah, you're all right. It's just a D.
Is it just
you.
a D? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
D for me as well.
Okay. So there you go. He is now at your mercy. All right. Initiative. It's mine again. No realistic way of mounting a rescue operation there, so I'm gonna have Heath activate. He will come out of his entrenchments and he will march +1. There we go. So 1, 2, 3 to there. He has 4 remaining. He will make a prepared attack on Mott. So it will be +1 for prepared, +2 for tactical. And ratio is covered, artillery's covered, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hexes covered.
Mm-hmm.
So +2 final flank. So I see a +5.
Yeah, nice attack. Didn't see that. I should have realized what was going on there.
Well,
I didn't realize Mott's a 1. Good God.
Here's a +5. It's a 9.
+5 result.
All right. plus 5 on 10, and
10 is a 2DR.
And I've got 16. So 16 and plus 5 is just an end eye. All right.
Yeah.
So
increase fatigue.
2DR.
Fatigue. Increase fatigue. Manpower. Organize. He loses 2. Big R, so he gets a demoralization marker. He has to retreat 4 to 6 hexes further away by road, not into a Zoc. He does not follow into a hex more distant, so he's got to go more distant, not following by road. So he's going to go this way, which is item 2. Then by road 3. Then by road 4. Now he could go. He just can't go closer, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So he is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away from me now. So as long as he doesn't
1, 2, 3,
get
4.
closer.
So he's going to go there for his last one.
Okay. And Heath.
Good attack.
Thank you. Heath will take the hex.
Oh.
All right.
I've got 8 manpower losses now on my spreadsheet. Is that
That
right?
is
Yep.
correct. Yep. All right. Initiative. It's mine again. I'll have AP Heal activate Heath to 2. Here is his movement plus 2. 7. So they will transfer. And here is an extended march. He flips. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. So he flips to 11. That brings him down a little bit. He's going to go 1, 2. It's 5 remaining. We'll make a prepared attack on Bernie. So I see +1 for prepared, +2 for tactical. Ratios covered, artillery's covered, and I don't have anything else. So is that what you see? +3?
Mm-hmm. +3.
All right, here's a +3 attack. It's a 5. And it's +2.
+2 result.
Alright, so +2.
+2 on a
11. So I
9.
got 1 DA.
We have 1 DR.
So that's still not great for me, but alright, that puts me at 10. Puts you at 9.
Increase fatigue.
And D him out. Let's see, lose the manpower. That's good.
And I could go 2 hexes, 2 to 4. And I'll go 1, 2 to there.
And I will not take the hex. Initiative. It's mine again. I'll have AP He'll activate Wilcox to 2. Here's the movement +2. That's not favorable. He will not transfer. Here's extended march. He's okay. And he'll just go 1, 2, and 3 to there. Initiative. Mine again. We'll activate Wilcox again with AP Hill. Here's the movement +2. 4. Boo. Here's extended march +1. Okay. Oh, and yeah, they should have said they were transferring.
I figured they were.
And they will go there. I'll hold up. They'll just go there. I won't make the attack. Here's initiative. There we go. So now we'll attempt the assault with Wilcox on Bernie. Hopefully get a couple pips out of this. So here's the attempt. It does come off. So now we got +1 for assault, +2 for tactical, +1 for Lee, and everything else is covered. So here's a +4 attack. Mush.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I I think that might just spell it there, Roger. I think I've dug a hole that's deep enough to. I'm not climbing out of it. I had a chance there for a second if this one went well, but that hurt. Let's see, what is it? It's -1. -1 on
Yes.
my 10. Yeah,
10
so it's 1D for me.
would be
Yeah. All right.
F for
Yeah.
me.
So I'm gonna put another manpower. That's gonna put me at 33 to your 18. So that's
Hmm.
still back where I started from just a few minutes ago with 15 points. Yeah, I think all things being equal, that turn 4 is not going to get any better, and certainly not turn 5. So I'm happy right here to just say congratulations. Is that good with you?
It is. I think the one, I guess I'll say with what you've done over here to the east, which is kind of what I was expecting you to do. I think the other thing you could do, which may make it interesting if you want, is an attempt, and this would be obviously desperation time, is to come here
Yeah,
and try to
yeah,
get to here.
yeah. That I mean, that's I just don't know that I have enough credits in the bank to do that.
Yeah, that would be.
Because I thought about like building up something against here, but once you put the artillery there, that kind of put a hole there. And then I liked what you did with the provisional there, just to when you went across, it's like there's nothing out there to guard. And then I went, oh yeah, he's playing for my sneakiness. I just I can certainly cover this one. I'm in a good spot for that. But getting this one and doing my big master plan of just taking out all of the supply sites is I think I can get 3. I don't know that I can get that one. I mean, and you're right. It would be absolute desperation, and it would just be I would leave myself completely open to all of the counter blow because you would just then
And
send everybody over there just to beat me out of there.
yeah, and this guy is going to die.
Yeah, he is going to die. there,
I mean,
that was on your agenda today. Today, kill E. Johnson. Okay, then have coffee.
well, I was that I thought this was an interesting flank position because of the Zocs and the I mean, I thought that was just when I looked at that when we initially had a little while we were waiting to get started, I was like, oh man, I can get that guy with a +6 right off or +4 flank, and then I realized no, I can't. I got to do a bunch of maneuvering to get a plus
Yeah,
flank.
yeah.
Was sort of what you set up over here as well on these forwards initially, which was a real pain that you did
Hmm.
here. I couldn't really figure out a good way to get a flank attack on those cav units. I had to send Gibbon over there.
And of course, if I had been, what they call smart and paying attention, I would have gotten him out of this precarious situation. But I figured, well, I always give you more I always give you more credit for not worrying about sleeping dogs. And you knew that I wasn't going to move E. Johnson, but I knew at the same time that he's in a really dangerous spot, and you got that super duper good Sheridan roll,
Yeah,
and you just
yeah,
covered everything. And that's exactly what Holger would have said last time was just cover every avenue and just force the surrender. So I was like, well, there's another 5 times 3. That's 15 points. So that would have absolutely just put you beyond the possibility. So it was only a matter of time since I failed my breakout here. I thought about this one, but then that would just put him in the woods here, and you would
yeah,
just keep beating the crap out of him. So once this failed, I was like, all right, well, the clock is ticking, so let's see if I can make up some points over here. And it dangled a little bit of hope. A little bit of hope. Here you go. Have some hope. And then AP Hill just finally hit the wall with Bernie. So it was only
yeah.
a matter of time. But congratulations, sir. That was
Well,
you did well. See, you're gonna say no, it was the dice. Yes, it was a little bit of the dice, but the methodical nature of you getting everything down here and just taking your time with the wagons, you kept them so well
I
protected.
played very conservatively. When I was looking at this, I was thinking, okay, I don't want to lose point, which I almost did anyway, because you got Johnson in to attack this rear wagon train, and that was fortuitous for me. Despite the fact that I took advantage of this ford, I didn't block it like I should have, and you took advantage of it. But yeah, I played this very conservatively. I think this is an interesting scenario for that, for people who are playing this. I guess my view would be this is like you do your intro scenarios, your Cedar Mountain. You then do some multi-day scenarios where you get the kind of the mechanics, and this is one of those because both sides, despite the fact it's the Union that has to get the points, I think the Confederacy has to figure out some way to snatch points back.
Yes.
So both sides are really kind of semi-offensive, and I really like what you did when you played the Union and went spread out and forced the Confederate because they just don't have enough. They can't cover everything.
Exactly so.
Which is what I tried to do, which was I should have focused on one of the wings and smacked it.
This surprised me a lot here, and we are, by the way, if you're just now joining us, folks, we are in the now scenario review. Now we've played it twice. This is the completion of it. So now we're going to try to encapsulate all of our thoughts from 2 playthroughs of this. We'll talk about the design of the scenario as a logistical puzzle, which that's what Roger was alluding to, where you have your single-day scenarios, which are introductory or tutorial. Then you have your multi-day historical scenarios, which are the meat and potatoes of the system, more or less. And then you have these usually one-off. They always have a logistical one, and then they have a cavalry one. And we're going to see the cavalry one here in just a few scenarios with Sheridan. But this is the logistical puzzle one for this one with wagons. And in fact, on Consim World just the other day, somebody was asking very much about this whole thing with the wilderness and Sheridan protecting the wagons and why it's abstracted in the wilderness. And then you only have this one scenario with the wagons, but in the Overland campaign we will see later, you don't have to mess with the wagons at all. And they said, well, that was a design thing because people don't always want to deal with wagons. And that's why when you play Battle Above the Clouds or Atlanta Is Ours, they really put all of that logistical stuff in there with the bean counting on the wagons, literally counting the beans.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that. And so this one, they were like, hey, you know what, we'll give you a scenario with it. And it wasn't as important because once they got the base of operations across the Rapidan, well, then they were there. You know, they had a good line back to the supply depots, so you don't need to worry about the wagons in the campaign. And I did like this one for that. And you and I showed very different ways to approach that. I left mine slightly less than guarded. I tried to take advantage of yours, but there is an overcommitment. I think you and I both did for that, and we paid dearly with poor E. Johnson.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just don't have enough fatigues to get in and get out.
Right, because of the woods and just the pathways. I think this ford right here, Sisson Ford, is such fool's gold because when E. Johnson was there, I was like, well, yeah, okay, I'll pull up short and then I'll get across there. Ooh. Now I have enough for an
Great
attack.
Roll.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get that 6.
Don't fall for it, people. Because it's only going to end in heartache. But this really surprised me right here. This standoff on the Rapidan, where you and I just committed a core each, and we didn't do anything because we were waiting for the other guy to blink.
Yeah, I've been kicking myself too for getting worn down in that hole because it was like, man, I've got all that manpower that's not doing a dang thing.
Same. I mean, mine are smaller, but they're mobile, and I thought, I could really use Yule's help up here, or make a push through here. And I think a very, very aggressive Confederate play or player might have tried to break through here, or make a couple of attacks just to get this road up to threaten the avenue through Stevensburg for that second one. And if I had just a couple, now I'm McClellan if on the Confederate side, if I had just some more men, I could do it.
Yeah, I was surprised too. I was thinking, okay, I'm waiting for you to move. I feel like, God, I don't want to go because then that frees these guys up. And I figured you were either going to start heading this way, but I kept Sedgwick back to block that. And I'd get you. So then I thought maybe you try to head this way and try to but that's a long way to go to get back up there.
Yeah. And even if I tried just Cal Ford, I kind of kept my eye on these at one point, not only for myself, but also as a possibility that you might try to come across them too. They did not pan out. What I love about the scenario in toto is the fact that the wilderness is the set piece, but it doesn't have to be. We saw that in the first scenario. They put you in the wilderness, and that's where you are, and you've got to either fight or flight. This one, you and I both kind of just looked at it as an afterthought. We both went to the south, and we got around towards Todd's Tavern and focused on the really important critical stuff of what's out there, the open field stuff. It was a means to an end just to get everybody down Germana Plank Road.
Hmm.
I love that you could go in there and just have a big old title bout in the middle of it as if you were playing scenario number one again. But I think you and I are both adept enough to say this is not a game about battle, it's about maneuver. And firstest with the mostest and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and if you're the Confederates, you just have this. I mean, unless the Union drags along some artillery reserves, you can get an artillery modifier down here in these out of the woods. But if you're in the woods, you don't have that artillery modifier, which is kind of weird. You think the Confederates wouldn't have the advantage there, but because you've got the Union has to manage these artillery reserve units to get their artillery up. That's the one reason why I headed down there is I wanted to have my artillery available.
And one of the things I noticed about you and I with our interrupted our staccato play style, meaning that when we did these larger ones into episodes, was after the first episode, I was feeling pretty good by having my cavalry right there, and I was wondering, is he sniffing that out? Does he? Because I was like, oh, I'm going to threaten your wagons this side, but I was curious at what point you sniffed out that I had them there so that I could come back and at some point fall back. I didn't want to telegraph it, but to fall back and use the cavalry to take care of the eastern supply. But on that second session last time, you just went right for them. You just got that infantry and you
Oh,
just bowling
I,
for
I,
dollars.
I, I wanted to get them back out of there because there's just Stewart can do with a +3 and a decent roll. He can sneak around and hit a wagon and take it out pretty easily. And so I wanted to drag him back and get him away. And I was as part of I wanted to try to use Sheridan to try to pick up some cav fights out here, but you just did a nice job keeping your guys organized and together. And I was planning to actually transfer my base to here.
Oh yeah, okay.
When you came down here so strong, I was like, I don't want to do that. And then these guys staying put. I just never really got around to it. I just couldn't figure out how to make it happen. And then, well, E. Johnson, I ended up doing the very conservative, keep that line down the Germana Plank Road back to what's that hex under Stevenson, wherever that depot is there.
Oh right, yeah.
Um, that
I
hex
mean
there,
that
keep that
is
road
they
open.
might as well just call that the Ninth Corps base of operations because I can't
Yeah,
imagine that anyone's ever going to lose that with with Potter and Provisional and Wilcox and everybody just able to come in right there.
yeah, yeah. I was planning on bringing Potter and Ferraro back to try to cover that a little better in case you did try to go through there. But
Yeah,
I figured I had a good defensive line,
yeah,
and you'd run
yeah.
out of
And I mean,
you'd run
to,
out of fatigues at some
yeah,
point.
I didn't. I mean, once I got First Corps up here and early, threatening Culpeper, the jig was up. There was, you knew what I was attempting to do at that point, so it was a matter of you finding the right way to prevent that. And I think that's the wonderful thing about this scenario is there's a lot of avenues to it, but you said it before, you have to pick the time to go on the offensive. And yeah, I want to thank my patron saint Mush for all of his wonderful advice
Yeah.
and influence on the dice rolls. But I can't blame that for everything. Some things just were, this E. Johnson just overcommitted. I did not. I think the group that benefits the most in 1864 are the cavalry. They benefit from the ability to get somewhere, throw up an abattis. Boom.
Mhm.
They've now just almost doubled their defensive capability. So yeah, I just and I didn't even use. I mean, I just now got Hampton available down here to the southeast, but I think that's just too little, too late. So, but yeah, I figured a late game attempt to strike and cause some mayhem with the second core after the opening failure on Grant, which that did set the tone. It was like Anderson's good. No, he's not. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. But any final thoughts on this one before we move on to Race for Spotsylvania?
No, I think I've given you all my thoughts on this one. Nice
Yeah.
scenario, well thought
Yep.
out. I think people will enjoy it, and I'm happy to, as Sherman would say, sling our sacks to the next battlefield.
That's right. And I've got it kind of zoomed in on what we're going to see right here is pretty much this is the extent of the stage for the next little scenario, which is a one turn. I think it's maybe a dozen units between the two sides, and it's a little bit of the fifth core, um, and a little bit of I think the second core with you. Anyway, you're racing. You're literally starting here, and it's the first one to Spotsylvania wins. And there's a lot of spaces here that are are blocked off so that there's no sneaky, no shenanigans, things like that. So it is simulating the units coming out of the wilderness with all of that smoke and fire and chaos, and just trying to get down to establish a foothold at Spotsylvania Courthouse. So that will be our next two playthroughs. It is short enough. I suspect we may be able to just do them back to back in one session. I can't imagine that each of them will take more than 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a nice little breather before we move on to the very heavy bloody Spotsylvania, as that
Oh, yeah.
sanguine name would indicate. Then we will put a pin in it here, and thank you, sir, for another great schooling. Take a moment, everybody,
You're
to
welcome.
click that like and subscribe as we ask you each and every week here on the channel. I put little reminders here at the beginning and maybe somewhere in the middle. I'm also showing you our financial supporters. Do not feel obligated to do so. I really appreciate those. We got one or two this past week, and that was very nice and very generous. So thank you again to everybody who's watching. But we love interacting with you, and we get the most out of the comments down in the comments section. So if you find something that's askew or something that we should have thought of now that it's completely over, feel free to opine to your heart's content what you would do in this scenario when you play it. But until next time, Roger, sir, have a great week.
You too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.